None of us are racist. I'm an EDL member. I'm a Tommy Robinson boy. I'm sick of the corrupt government telling us lies, blacking out. They're doing blackouts on news media. Look what's happening in Paris, France, Germany, Sweden.
All things that were reported.
Thousands of UK citizens recently gathered for a large rally chanting, "We want our country back." The event began at Victoria Station in London and moved to Parliament Square. The protest was organised to voice concerns about what participants see as the threat of Muslim extremism. Leading the rally were two prominent figures, Lawrence Fox, an English actor and broadcaster, and Tommy Robinson, a well-known far-right activist in the UK. The rally was a response to a series of incidents and growing fears within communities across the country. Demonstrators carried banners and chanted slogans calling for stronger government action and community efforts to combat extremist ideologies. The chant, "We want our country back," was not only a reaction to recent events, but also a broader expression of dissatisfaction with the current strategies and policies.
The word illegal means no right to be here.
Protest in a holiday coastal town out of season this weekend. Far-right nationalists descended on the Lincolnshire town of Skegness to exploit local unease about hotels housing asylum seekers. A Home Office policy that has caused friction with locals who feel that their concerns are being ignored. At Saturday's march, some locals were among the 200 to 300 people who marched through Skegness to stage a rally in a local park, under the watchful eye of the police. But it was clear that some in the crowd didn't appreciate our presence.
Oh, make me 2 streets where you know.
Don't take us for fools. We know they are not refugees. They are illegal immigrants.
The march was attended by far-right groups from outside Skegness. One of those was Patriotic Alternative, a small group led by a former leading activist in the British National Party. And the group made leading speeches at the event. At this time of year, not a lot should be going on in the coastal resort of Skegness. Facing the North Sea, this seaside town is famously bracing, even more so in late February. But Skegness is one of a number of towns and cities, including holiday resorts, that the Home Office is using to house asylum seekers. There are around 220 asylum seekers housed in the town of 22,000. Some locals and businesses are concerned about the effect that the use of this seafront accommodation could have on the local economy and the town's image.
Both the threes, 33.
It's eyes down at the local social club where the punters are chasing a full house.
In recent years, the UK has faced increasing concerns about Muslim radicalism, making it a significant topic of discussion across various communities. Different perspectives and responses have emerged regarding how to address these threats while balancing security concerns with the principles of tolerance and inclusivity. Understanding the historical context is essential to grasp why these concerns exist. Muslim immigrants from former British colonies such as Pakistan, India and Bangladesh brought diverse Islamic traditions to the UK. These communities often settled in urban areas where they faced challenges like integration, discrimination and socio-economic marginalisation.
But the housing of asylum seekers is something everyone is aware of.
We think that we're being put on with the amount of the asylum seekers what we've got. We're not saying we don't want any, but there is a lot. They should be shared out a bit better. And that sounds terrible, doesn't it? I don't mean it to.
The issue has been building locally for months. In November, a usually poorly attended council meeting became very rowdy.
I'm the Mayor's chaplain, so I turned up to bless the council. And there's usually 15, 20 people in there in the public spaces. Well, there were considerably more than that. And it very quickly degenerated into people just shouting and bawling and being quite unpleasant. So the meeting was abandoned and the mayor and the town clerk and the councillors left. But the majority of people at that meeting, I would say, were not local. I know a lot of the local people, and there were accents and people there I'd never seen before.
At the local Anglican church, St Matthew's, churchgoers are celebrating the beginning of Lent, but it seems everyone in the town is aware of the asylum controversy.
The peace of the Lord be always with you.
The rector of Skegness, Richard Holden, has seen the tensions develop over the last few months firsthand.
I think if it's going to affect local businesses, I think that's a legitimate concern. So our economy is based on holidaymakers. So if that's damaged, that damages the town. So I think that's a legitimate concern.
And what's not legitimate?
I think it's not legitimate to say that they're coming and they're standing outside the school gates, that they are going into the local nightclub.
During the time these immigrants were settling in the UK, political Islamist groups began to rise. Some of these groups, influenced by the ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood and similar movements, primarily focused on political activism rather than violent extremism. However, more recently, with the influx of immigrants, British society has seen the emergence of more radical ideologies, making the UK a focal point for radical preachers.
Concerns have the same ambitions or the same agenda as people like Patriotic Alternative and the far right.
For some people in towns all over the country, there are concerns about the impact on local services and business of placing asylum seekers in hotels. But as Saturday's march in Skegness showed, genuine concerns can be seized on by those who seek to stir up hate, sometimes with fractious results.
In response to radicalisation, the UK introduced the PREVENT strategy, aiming to stop people from becoming radicalised. However, PREVENT has been controversial, facing criticism from some communities for allegedly unfairly targeting Muslims. Despite these criticisms, Muslim communities and organisations have actively worked to counter extremism through education, community engagement and cooperation with law enforcement.
This small village in England is divided, as dozens of asylum seekers have been moved into a local hotel.
It's turning us into racist people, which I don't want to be racist, but it's making me dislike these people.
These poor people that have gone through hell need somewhere to go to.
Some villagers have been holding protests. One turned violent, and a local man was charged after a police officer was injured.
Save Kegworth!
What do you think the village needs saving from?
Just 250 strangers that we don't know anything about.
Kegworth is a sleepy village. Most people know each other. It's a very small community.
Kegworth is great, so it's a really nice community spirit.
From sleepy to strife, a community in conflict.
Get out! Cheeky!
This village on the edge of Leicestershire, population 3,500, has found itself bitterly divided over the arrival of around 100 new residents.
They've been dropped in a village where there's literally nothing to do. Things have changed completely, and it has caused a divide in the village.
The guys have come from war-torn countries. They want to feel safe and welcomed and contribute to the community.
This is what caused the clashes. There aren't many facilities in Kegworth, but the U Lodge was one of them. It's a family-run hotel with a gym, a pool and a popular restaurant. But last month, without much notice, all bookings were suddenly cancelled and all the signs to the hotel were covered over because the owner had signed an exclusive contract with the Home Office to use the hotel for asylum seekers.
Small village! Big problem!
And its local communities feeling the fallout. This is Operation U Lodge, a campaign group that's been holding regular demos.
People are just scared to walk the streets now.
What are you scared of?
Well, we don't know because we don't know anything about these people.
They're marching to the home of the man who owns the hotel. He's a local businessman. He's well known locally because he's owned that hotel for 25 years and is friends with some of the residents. The owner, Jeremy Pick, hasn't responded to our request for an interview. The villagers say he's refused to answer their concerns. But as they shout their slogans, some passers-by start arguing with them because they say they don't support their protest.
It's this populist politics that we've got now, that's what worries me.
Everyone's polarised. Nobody talks to each other anymore. And it's Donald Trump politics, isn't it?
Fear and frustration over extremist threats have sometimes fueled anti-Muslim sentiment and Islamophobia, leading to social tensions. Events such as the rise of the English Defence League, EDL, and other far-right groups have highlighted these issues. The EDL was formed in response to what its members see as the growing influence of Islam in the UK and has been involved in numerous protests and rallies.
Why they're chanting "Save our children"? I don't know why they're chanting that. Save them from what?
In Kegworth, one of those waiting for his claim to be heard is Hassan, who told me he escaped the war in Syria. He asks us not to show his face because his family are still living under the regime.
And every day, bombs, every day, we were seeing our friend dead, our relative dead.
Some people think that you get lots of money, you get benefits.
I don't think Syrian come here to get money. We left the war. We don't think in this way.
He gets emotional as he tells me he didn't want to fight for the government or for the opposition groups.
We escaped from our country because I don't want to kill anyone, so I left my country.
But every week, outside his temporary new home, there have been rowdy rallies.
They say, save our village. I don't know. Save our village from what? From the human? I just want to tell you that I am human.
The protests have caused deep divisions. On social media, rumours are rife.
I had my phone stolen, but it was before they actually came to the village, but it was all over the social media that it was them, and it wasn't them. It's just like everything with Facebook, it snowballs.
What shoe size do you wear?
40.
40? Oh, what's that in English?
On the other side of the divide, Operation Open Arms Kegworth, residents who have set up a group to welcome their new neighbours.
I'm learning about their culture, I'm learning different languages, I see their families sometimes virtually or photos, and they've met my baby, and yeah, it's changed my life a lot. It makes you realise how lucky you are.
There are some people who are very hostile to the guys being here. How do you deal with that? You know, you've been labelled lefties and do-gooders.
I think people are entitled to have different views, and some people can think that they shouldn't be in our village, but still that they're people who need help, whether they should be in our village or whether they think the government should have housed them somewhere else isn't really relevant.
More than 50,000 asylum seekers are stuck in hotels. The Home Office says the system is under incredible strain and that they'll work with local authorities to ensure the arrangements are safe for local people and for the hotel residents. But they admit there's no deadline to end their use. And so, villagers in Kegworth and their new arrivals have no idea how long they'll be staying.
The recent rally in June drew thousands of UK citizens concerned about the threat of Muslim extremism. The participants, led by Lawrence Fox and Tommy Robinson, gathered at Victoria Station and marched to Parliament Square. They carried banners and chanted slogans calling for stronger governmental actions and community initiatives to curb the influence of extremist ideologies. Many participants expressed their concerns about community safety and the need for a more robust approach to prevent radicalisation, particularly among young people.
The people of Britain have been unbelievably generous towards illegal immigrants. We pay millions in tax for them every single day. We've given up local hotels, local housing, our public safety in some cases. We've bent over backwards for them. The people of Wethersfield know this only too well. Their town has been turned into essentially a detention centre. They took the government to court over this. They did lose. Anyway, GB News can exclusively reveal that today some of those illegal migrants decided to conduct a protest outside, blocking roads and causing chaos. The police were called and they tried to deal with it. Yeah, it's concerning stuff, isn't it? Well, hopefully very shortly I'm going to be talking to a Wethersfield resident by the name of Dave Price, who is with us, actually. Dave, look, thank you very much for joining us here on Patrick Christie's Tonight. Can you shed a bit more light for us, please, on what was going on there?
Yeah, apparently it was about 70 of them came out, and the major complaint they've got is the fact that nothing seems to be happening in terms of the processing. Some of them have been there since the camp was opened, and that seemed to be their main gripe. They had hoped there was somebody from the Home Office was there, and they were just wanting them to come out and just say a few words. But the Home Office person decided to stay in, so the road stayed blocked, and then even more police were called. And I think there's about 20 police were up there, and that's when they decided to go back into the base. Total farce, this is.
Yeah, look, what's it like now living alongside this facility in your area? I know that we've spoken previously as there were plans to do this and then when there were appeals against it, but we are where we are now, and currently where we are is people sitting outside of that base causing a massive scene, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose I will give credit where credit is due. They've not been coming down the village. There's been no problem at all. But that doesn't take away from the fact, the government have spent about £40 million plus on this facility. At £5 million, when they first came up with the idea, it was close to break even. So they've wasted £40 million plus on this, and there's no progress made at all in terms of processing them. So it's just it's what a total waste of money. And also, as well, I'll be quite honest with you, up there, it is so isolated. I wouldn't put my dog up there, if you know what I mean.
So I suppose the concern for you really is that this could get even more volatile, I suppose, going forward. They are obviously very angry and very frustrated. We've got a general election on at the moment, and then we'll see what happens after that. Let's be honest, it doesn't look like their claims are going to be processed anytime soon. I suppose that might be a concern for the local residents.
Well, I guess so. I think some of the residents are concerned that if the Rwanda flights ever take off, and they get to know that, are they going to start thinking about stirring things up? Who knows? But I think the main thing is it's the wrong place to put them, and it's cost taxpayers, like I say, at least £49 million. We can't get hold of how much health is spending on it. We can't get hold on how much the police are spending on it.
Organisers emphasised that the rally was not an indictment of the Muslim community as a whole, but a call to address the specific issue of extremism that poses a threat to national security. This distinction was crucial in understanding the rally's motivations and the message the participants aimed to convey. The event drew a diverse crowd, including victims of past attacks, community leaders and ordinary citizens who shared a common goal of ensuring a safe and secure environment for all.
Baby TV. Making breakfast for her children Mahad, Ryan and Muntaha is the first of many daily duties for Aisha Imtiaz. The paratha bread is a taste of home in Karachi before a day of work and study in London. Her family is here while Aisha takes a master's degree in journalism. But she could be one of the last to enjoy the support of her loved ones after the government tightened visa rules for dependents of students.
It's just led to this peace of mind that I have my tribe with me. Especially for women of the South Asian diaspora, it's not very easy, those who have children or husbands, to leave your home country and pursue higher academics and education without having at least your husband, if not your kids, with you. I feel like it's really cutting off a huge swath of society.
Very few are now allowed to bring their dependents with them as part of government promises to cut immigration. The Home Office says that in the 12 months up to March this year, there were more than 111,000 visas issued to student dependents. That's 25% less than the previous year, but still nearly 7 times more than in 2019. Aisha is one of around 700,000 international students in the UK, accounting for about a quarter of universities' teaching income.
The thing that we're saying both to the current government and to political parties contesting this election is, for God's sake, just give people stability. We want the students who are thinking about maybe studying abroad in 3 or 4 years' time to know what the deal is.
A better future for her daughter was a big part of Aisha's decision to leave Pakistan for the UK, while husband Saqib Rafiq has been able to work in the care industry on his visa. Aisha doesn't believe the system is being abused or that it needed fixing.
The image in our imaginations is so exaggerated that it's people's grandmas and entire cohorts of people coming in. There's intense documentation in the way that you prove that these are your children and this is your husband. So it's a very controlled process.
Student-dependent visa applications were down 79% in the first 4 months of this year following the restriction. Unless things change after the election, the childhood memories of other families will have to be made elsewhere. And some academic dreams perhaps abandoned. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, London.
Personal testimonies such as those from Tommy Robinson added a deeply personal dimension to the rally. Robinson criticised the police for their handling of cases related to extremism and exploitation. He recounted how he felt let down by the police in 2012 when they refused to take DNA evidence from his son, dismissing the case as a missing person report, which he later found to be false. At Parliament Square, the crowd gathered to watch Tommy Robinson's documentary Lawfare, which critiques what he views as an uneven policing system. The screening sparked discussions on law enforcement methods and societal fairness. The atmosphere was charged with energy as loud, hard rock music played, resonating with the crowd through powerful lyrics such as "I Want My Country Back." The rally, adorned with Union Jack flags, also saw addresses from notable figures like YouTuber Kay Benjamin, who spoke about his controversial interview with former Prime Minister Liz Truss and the challenges he faced as a result.
In the Garden of England, this berry farm stretches for miles across some of the most fertile land in the UK. Inside, the pace is quick and the fruit plentiful, but what it lacks is enough workers to pick the crop.
All my workers used to coming from Eastern Europe, and when they go back, British government didn't let them to come into the country, and we losing about £1.5 million.
The end of the freedom of movement with the EU isn't the only problem.
I can't pick it because I haven't got the staff, and that is what's happened in the last 3 years. So you've had Brexit, freedom of movement, you've had COVID, knock-on effect. Then we had obviously the Ukrainian war. We trained up staff, we lost that trained staff because of the war.
These issues working up a perfect storm of labour shortages that the National Farmers Union says caused production to be cut by a third in some businesses since 2020. And though the government introduced a 6-month seasonal workers visa, farmers here say it's not enough.
At the moment, for my industry, we've got 45,000 licenses, seasonal workers licenses that are coming in. Do we need that? Yes. Do we need double that? We 100% need. We're growing more. We're getting better at growing. If we're getting better at growing, we need the manpower to help us grow.
But politicians, both in office and in opposition, have vowed to reduce immigration, not bring more people in.
The current Conservative government wanted to encourage farmers to gradually start replacing overseas workers with British ones, but that hasn't happened. And in reality, the majority of people who work in farms like this one come from abroad. Where are you from?
Philippines. From India. Uzbekistan.
Bulgaria.
Macedonia.
They have tried to recruit locally here, but without much success.
Make sure they don't leave any fruit behind.
And their business model depends on trained staff coming back season after season.
It's a skilled job. It takes ages to learn it. It's very, very difficult. The crop here, they last 2 or 3 days. If you miss 2 days, the crop is gone. If you don't have the people, we are lost.
A steady supply of overseas workers may not be what the politicians say they want, but it is what farmers here say they need. Milena Veselinovic, Vale of Evesham, UK.
On social media, people from various countries expressed their support for the British, asserting that they deserve to reclaim their country and oppose the Islamic transformation of society. Some argued that all European nations need to protect their homelands from what they describe as a mass invasion. The Metropolitan Police released a statement detailing their observations of the rally, noting the presence of individuals with a history of involvement in violent incidents and associations with factions across London and the UK. UK. The police also noted the presence of individuals previously involved in anti-lockdown protests and related disturbances.
With legal migration to the UK reaching unprecedented levels, Sky News can reveal allegations that criminal gangs are putting people on planes and trafficking them by exploiting visas for skilled workers. We're calling this woman Mrs. A. When we meet, she's urgently seeking legal advice, claiming she's just one of the victims who handed over extraordinary amounts of money to come to the UK to fill Britain's job vacancies.
She had no idea this was going to happen.
Mrs. A says she paid what she thought were recruiters in Sri Lanka the eye-watering sum of £65,000 to arrange work in Britain as a carer.
When I got to the airport, they gave me the work permit and the tickets and a boy.
Mrs. A says at the airport, the recruiters gave her a 12-year-old boy who she'd never seen before and was told he had to travel with her. She says they used a fake Sri Lankan passport for the boy and falsely claimed he was her dependent so he could travel on the work visa they'd secured for her.
It was last minute. I felt very scared but couldn't do anything about it. I didn't understand much. It was only after I arrived in the UK that I realised it was a big mistake.
Mrs. A says when they landed at Heathrow Airport, the boy was met by people she didn't know and she never saw him again. Sky News has been told about a number of similar cases where the entitlement to bring dependents on a skilled worker visa is being abused. Just a few weeks ago, another woman, it's claimed, also flew to London on a work visa and brought 3 people with her, posing as her husband and children. The woman in that case has now disappeared, but our investigation has taken us north in search of the woman's fake family. We traced the man who pretended to be her husband to Staffordshire and have identified him as a 48-year-old Sri Lankan rice farmer who's now claiming asylum.
I am not eating every day. 10 cents, not sleep, mom. You see my face?
His name is Ratha. He says he paid someone who he calls an agent £50,000 to get him to the UK, where they told him he would have a job and, after a couple of years, residency.
How easy do people in Sri Lanka think it is to exploit the British visa system?
அப்படி இருக்க அந்த கஷ்டப்பட்ட இப்படி என்ன போல கஷ்டப்பட்ட பொடியன்கள் எப்படியாவது கஷ்டப்பட்டு கொடுத்தா வரலாம்ன்ற ஒரு நம்பிக்கை உண்டு இருக்கு சார்.
In attempting to trace the false dependents listed on that one UK work visa, we find Sri Lankans dispersed around the UK. In Liverpool, we've tracked down the boy who says agents made him travel as Ratha's fake son. This is 19-year-old Hinthujan. He's now living with relatives in the city's Sri Lankan community. He cuts a small and frightened figure. He says his family had arranged for him to come to the UK, but had no idea he would have to pretend to be the dependent of a stranger until he got to the airport in Colombo.
பயமாக தான் இருந்தது. அவங்க சொன்னது இப்படி அம்மா இவங்க அப்பா அம்மான்னு சொல்லி போனால் ஒரு பிரச்சனையும் இல்லைன்னு சொன்னாங்க.
Unable to speak a word of English, he is also now claiming asylum.
எங்களுக்கு ஸ்ரீலங்காவில் பல பிரச்சனைகள் நடக்குது. ஸ்ரீலங்காவில் போய் இருக்க முடியாது. ஸ்ரீலங்காவில் அதனால தான் நாங்கள் வந்தோம்.
Why the UK?
UKல தமிழர்கள் இருக்கிறாங்க. அதனால அவங்க உதவி செய்வாங்கன்னு வந்தோம்.
There are now questions about the way visas are issued.
It's extremely alarming and concerning that we have a system that is not catching exploitation at this level, and there needs to be some way of the Home Office reviewing its systems to look at what's not working here.
But remember Mrs. A, who we met at a solicitor's office urgently in need of legal help. Her journey to the UK doesn't only raise allegations about people smuggling. There are now questions about the regulation of the skilled worker visa system.
Commander Lutero emphasised ongoing discussions with protest organisers ahead of the event. Our priority, he stated, is to enable peaceful protests, ensuring safety for participants in both the march and counter-protest. This commitment highlights the importance of maintaining order while protecting the well-being of all involved. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson reiterated, all Londoners have a right to feel and be safe in their city, and we will take a zero-tolerance approach to any racially or religiously motivated hate crime we become aware of. This rally serves as a reminder that many individuals in Britain are deeply committed to protecting their nation from potential risks, including concerns over Islamist influence. Engaging in transparent discussions and cooperative initiatives is essential to addressing these apprehensions while upholding democratic principles and respecting the rights of every individual. As this dialogue continues to unfold, the rallying cry against Muslim extremism reflects the UK's commitment to security and social cohesion. Balancing vigilance with respect for diversity remains a significant challenge. Moving forward, it will be crucial for policymakers, community leaders and citizens alike to navigate these waters with sensitivity and clarity, ensuring a safe and inclusive society for all. This endeavour requires ongoing dialogue, community engagement and the development of policies that address the root causes of extremism without alienating any segment of the population. Promoting education and awareness is equally important, fostering a deeper understanding of the UK's diverse Muslim communities. The rally in London, with thousands of UK citizens chanting "We want our country back," was a significant event that highlighted the concerns and frustrations of many people. While it aimed to address the specific issue of Muslim extremism, it also brought to light the broader challenges of balancing security and inclusivity in a diverse society. The event underscored the need for ongoing dialogue, education and community engagement to create a safe and inclusive environment for everyone. In the aftermath of the rally, public discourse continues to evolve. There is a growing recognition of the need to address the root causes of extremism through comprehensive strategies that include social integration, economic opportunities and community cohesion. It is also clear that fostering mutual understanding and respect among different cultural and religious groups is vital for long-term peace and security. As the UK navigates these complex issues, the role of the government, law enforcement and civil society will be crucial. The preventative strategy and other counter-terrorism measures will likely continue to be debated and refined. Ensuring that these strategies are effective, fair and inclusive will be a key challenge. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and for more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel.